Welcome back to Mr. News Art Class. It's wonderful to see your smiling faces. Today we're going to continue our series on different styles of art and different reasons why different people make art. Last week we talked about cave paintings and how humans have kind of always had the inkling to make art that demonstrates things that they have to do to survive. But art has many uses. Today we're going to talk about ways that humans have used art to communicate and tell stories with each other. Specifically today, we're going to talk about something called pictographs or pictograms. These are different little symbols or icons that are used to, sort of in the place of words. Now, in modern times, most different cultures around the world have written languages that use letter forms, like, the alphabet, to, have different sounds that come together to make words that come together to tell a story, right? But it hasn't always been that way. People from across human history, from ancient Egyptians to Native Americans to even you, when you use a cell phone to text your friends, these are all different examples of pictographs, using images instead of words to tell stories. So I have here a picture dictionary. Does that make it a Pictionary? That just shows some words and how they would be written as a pictograph, or really drawn as a pictograph. And so you see things like wise and horse and great spirit. You see the seasons like spring, summer, winter. You see some weather. Now, this is by no means a complete list of all the different words that you could draw as a pictograph, but this is going to be sort of the basis for a story that I'm going to write today, or draw today. Anyway, I'm going to put that off to the side, and here I am going to draw some pictographs that tell a story. Now, I've got the story up here in my mind, and I'll go ahead and tell you up front kind of what the story is. So my story is about one clear day, there was a man who was walking near a river, and a bad woman came and pushed him into the river, and he yelled for help as he was splashing around in the water. An eagle came to help, and she clawed the face of the bad woman and scared her away. Then the Great Spirit sent a turtle to bring the man to safety at the shore. Now, how would I even begin to draw that as pictographs? Well, my story starts out on a clear day, so let's draw that out. Now, you are probably going to want to make up your own story, so you don't need to necessarily copy mine. But if I'm looking at my picture dictionary, notice that clear weather is drawn like this. And then that's the image for sun, which kind of makes us think of daytime, right? So maybe if I wanted to say it was a clear day, I'll draw the sun. Maybe I want to draw the sun up high to kind of show, that it's, the sun is up high. Maybe it's like in the middle of the day. And the next part of my story is that on that clear day, a man is walking near a river. So how do I draw a man that's like an X with arms and a head? And how would I show that he's walking? Now, I have dancer on here. I don't have a pictograph on my dictionary that shows what walking is. So maybe I could just draw, what would this man look like walking? Well, his legs would be bent, so maybe something like that. And Maybe his arms would also be bent, and there's his head. So he's just walking. But he's walking next to a river, right? So I'm going to put the river next. On a clear day, a man was walking by a river. Now, one of the cool things about pictographs is you don't have to do things like capital letters and punctuation. But I've just written a sentence, or rather drawn a sentence. How cool is that? Now, I could start my next sentence on the next row under it, or I could just keep going from here. Either way is fine. I am going to keep going from right here because I know that my story is going to take a couple of different lines here, there's like 6 different sentences. I'm not going to have room if I draw each sentence on a different line, so I'm going to start here. So in my next sentence, a bad woman pushes the man into the river. Well, how would I write bad woman? There's no symbol here for push, so I'm going to have to make something up for that. And then into the river, and then he splashes around, so maybe I'll draw some splashing too. Let's see how that looks. There, so the bad woman pushes the man into the river, splash. Oh. Now, the next part of my story is that the man yells for help. Well, man, help. I don't have a picture here for yell, so I'm going to have to make something up. I'm going to move down to a new line here. And so man, I've drawn that before. I know what that looks like. It's like an X with arms and a head. And then yell. How am I going to draw yell? Maybe I'll draw a face with a big open mouth. Yelling. And then he's yelling for help. There is a symbol for help. It's a box with an X in it. What happens next? An eagle comes and claws at the face of the bad woman. Eagle. Well, how do I draw that? Well, it's like a semicircle with little curves under it for the wings, and then the head is, oh, that's not too hard to draw. So an eagle. There's not a symbol here for clawing a man in the face. So I guess I could just draw claws, or talons is what we call it on a bird. So there would be his leg and his talons and his other leg and his talons. So the eagle claws or scratches or attacks the woman, right? The bad woman. We want the word bad, copying from there. Woman, copying from there. And at the end of my story, the Great Spirit sends a turtle to help the man get out of the river. Oh, well, I've got symbols for those things. All right. Should I keep going here, or should I move down? I'm going to move down. So the symbol for the Great Spirit is like a diamond. It's like a big diamond, right? Because he's the Great Spirit. And then it's got an oval and an oval inside. So that's the symbol for Great Spirit. And then he sends a turtle. So I'm going to kind of have the Great Spirit symbol turn into an arrow to show that he's sending something, maybe. And then the turtle symbol is like an oval for the body with a head that has 2 dots for eyes. And then the legs are connected through the shell like that. And then they got little feetsies, little toesies, kind of like that. So there's a turtle. So the Great Spirit sends a turtle who brings the man to shore, brings a man out of the river. How am I going to draw that? So maybe I'll draw the man on the turtle. I can mix and match and put symbols together. Oh, I need to draw the man's head. So the man is on the turtle, and they're coming out of the river. So I'm going to do kind of the same thing I did with the Great Spirit to show the Great Spirit sent the turtle. I'm going to have it be where the river is releasing, right, with an arrow. They're coming out of the river. And then maybe I'll draw the man standing outside of the river. So the interesting thing here is that I used a bunch of these symbols from this page here. I also used some symbols that I made up on my own, like yelling or walking or pushing. And I also combined some symbols together to make, a person riding on a turtle. And I also changed the way some of the symbols looked to show that that river was doing something, or that the Great Spirit was sending something. So now it's your turn. I'm going to leave a link to this page where you can see it down in the description below. And what you can do is make up your own story. You could copy my story if you really wanted, if you liked my story. Maybe you could finish the story. If you copy mine, finish it and say what happens next, and keep using symbols. Now, if there's a symbol you need that's not on this list, just try to think, how would I show that to people if I was just making up a symbol for something? How would I show that to people? So, like yelling, I just had a big open mouth with lines coming out. Like when you're yelling, you're big open mouth and words are coming out, right? So just think about what it would look like, or, kinds of what would be involved in it. And then use pictographs to make up your own story, or like I said, you could copy mine and then finish the story with what happens next. I hope you guys had fun using pictographs to tell a story with me today. In next week's video, we're going to talk about how religion has played a role in the history of art making. I can't wait to see you then.